The emergence of Ron Paul has stunned quite a few people in this state. Everyone has been focusing right now on Newt Gingrich and Mitt Romney and how they slug it out for the nomination. But in this state, he's the guy with the big momentum. And in the latest poll, within just a percentage point of the presumed front runner here, that is, for the moment, Newt Gingrich. The Texas congressman joins me right now. Congressman, what do you make of these numbers, and what do you think of the possibility you win this state?
Well, I guess that's very possible now, and the numbers are more or less what many of us in our campaign had expected, because we've been working to that end, and we've been organizing and doing the things we're supposed to do. But I also think that there's a very powerful message that we've been delivering, and it's very appropriate. I think the people do need some answers to our problems, and I talk about economics for a long time. I've talked about bubbles and how we got into this trouble and what we ought to do, and I have proposed significant cuts. And quite frankly, I think we're giving a lot of answers to the questions that so many people across the country are asking.
You know, the one thing that happens when you become a front runner or near front runner, Congressman, is you also become a target. Newt Gingrich has discovered that. Tomorrow night, might you discover that?
Well, that's always possible, but for some reason it seems like they've been pretty courteous to me, and I think that they have worked out, at least on the assumption up until now, that they don't want to offend my supporters, because maybe they'd like to, have alliance with them. But no, I think you're right. I think people who lead get a lot of criticism, and I would think that I've been challenged on my views for a long, long time. Matter of fact, I've been challenged more than the rest of them have, and as long as they challenge me on the appropriateness of my views, I think I better be able to answer them. But I think I have the ammunition to defend a balanced budget and cutting spending and looking into the Federal Reserve and finally addressing the subject of a runaway interventionist foreign policy, which is draining us so much, in a good place where we can cut some money that wouldn't hurt our people back here at home.
You know, Congressman, in the last day or so I've been here in this fine state, and particularly in Sioux City, I've had an opportunity, because we have it playing in the press room, of watching Iowa TV coverage and a lot of political commercials. And while a lot of the campaign ads that I see are sort of warm and fuzzy and back to America of old and Newt Gingrich back to the good old days and America's great, nothing wrong with that, yours tend to be much more in your face, much more direct, much more issue oriented. And given these poll numbers, they seem to be resonating. But is that by design? Now, some of your opponents will claim, well, Ron Paul's just going negative. Or has that just been your style all along?
Well, I think negative, in a real negative sense, is when you go after people and you demagogue and distort and fib and take things out of context and become personal. But to talk about people having different positions and having voted for certain things, I think that's appropriate and very necessary. I think that's one of my obligations, to point these things out of the opponents so that they can see a difference. But they're not going to volunteer and tell us, the other candidates aren't going to tell us about their shortcomings, nor does the media do a real good job all the time on bringing up the differences on the issues that I care about. So I think that's my obligation to do that.
You know, this has come at a time when some of the candidates who dallied about being in the race versus not are entertaining third-party runs. Gary Johnson maybe looking at a libertarian run tomorrow with an announcement. And last night on this very show, Congressman, Donald Trump on the possibility of a third-party run. I want you to hear this and respond to this.
I am looking at it if the Republicans choose the wrong candidate, which is a possibility, and if the economy continues to be bad, which I think it will be because we have incompetent leadership.
All right, so you're raising the distinct possibility of running as an independent then?
That's right.
All right. What do you think of if he does that, if Governor Johnson does that, of anyone among the Republican candidates already competing, do that?
Well, I think for Trump, that's just more attention getting. I don't think it's likely from the other candidates, but I think that there's always that possibility. You know, there was a moderate, liberal type of candidate in 1980, John Anderson, who ran as a third-party candidate. So maybe one of these other candidates that come across more moderate, if they don't make it, maybe they'll say, hey, you know what, so-and-so doesn't fit the bill, I'm going to run. So maybe there will be, and the American people are so frustrated. I can see the motivation of some people doing that, but I don't think it's limited to Donald Trump.
You know, when I raised this very issue with your son, Senator Rand Paul, about you, because the rumors were out there, and you never really altogether quashed them, that you would run as an independent candidate if things didn't go the Republican route. What do you say?
Same thing I've said about 35 times and maybe 10 times on your program. I don't have a different answer. You know, no intention of doing it. But I think what I was hinting to a minute ago is maybe you ought to ask some of those moderate Republicans that aren't doing so well. Maybe they'll run as a John Anderson type candidate more so than asking me that question. But my answer remains the same.
Okay, so finally, your sense of this race in Iowa, do you think you have to win here, Congressman, that this is where you put a lot of your upfront marbles, and that this is where you got to do it?
I don't think I would say I have to win it, but I must not come in fifth place or even fourth place. So I have to do well. Okay. But right now we're doing very well, and makes us more optimistic, and I think we're very much in contention, and that's very good news for us.
All right. We're looking forward to see you tomorrow. Congressman, thank you very, very much. Ron Paul.
Thank you.
When we come back.